Out of all the solo runs, this one has to be the most stupid. Mavuika is one of the characters of all time. She's the reason why they upped the maximum damage limit. She's the reason why the Pyro Abyss HP has doubled since 5.0. She's the reason why I hear voices in my walls at 3 AM writing the script. 9 out of 10 dentists will say she's broken. But how does she fare without the support of the tribes? Well, let's find out as we try to beat Genshin Impact with Only Mavuika. The rules are the same as the other runs. I can only use Mavuika, all banners and weapons are allowed, no co-op, no food in combat, and no bug abusing. I've low-key forgotten to mention the co-op rule in my previous videos, but it still applied. I really only kept it on for funny usernames such as this one. Anyways, we start off our run by accidentally pulling Mavuika. What the fuck? Okay. This wasn't even intended, by the way. I wasn't even planning to do this one. I was trying to pull a Xiangling. What is my luck this month? I even spent Primo Gems on the standard banner to get Xiangling. From one god to another, I guess. And to make matters worse, the very next account I set up for Xiangling pulled an Emily. What is going on? I just want a Xiangling, man. Like, I'm sorry, what? Goodbye all my luck for the rest of the year. So first up was Amber's domain, and thanks to our broken bike, we just jump over the door, but we screwed up and landed in here, so no problem. We'll just kill these enemies and then light the monument.
Seems like there's something up there.
Wait, what? Where is the monument? So we went back to do the skip. I just broke the game.
Are those explosive barrels over there? Well, one shot should be...
Okay, now it's here. What? Wait, what? What is this buggy ass game? Next up was Kaya's domain, and the bike is just broken. We just fly over the spikes like they're no big deal. I didn't even have to climb the pillar. Last up was Lisa's domain, which we were somehow able to trigger by standing on top of it, and once again, use our bike to perform the skip. And that means Act 1 is now done. So it's now time to farm until AR10, which doesn't take too long because of how fast we can get around the map. These guys probably don't even know what a motorbike is. Now usually I dedicate a section after Mondstadt to talk about each character's kit, but there's going to be quite a bit, so this time I'm just going to talk about her exploration part. It's safe to say that Mavuika is by far the best exploration character in the game. Her bike is extremely fast, can fly, can ride on water, and can climb walls, and if you think that's crazy, it's even better on home ground. Her bike speed alone is the sole reason why this run is so quick, and because her skill cooldown starts counting down after she first uses the skill, there's only really a 4 to 5 second cooldown between skill usages, so she's just zooming around like Sakura Bakshino! By the way, I was gonna make an Uma Musume video, but I changed my mind in the end. I'd rather just enjoy the game and not make content out of it. Anyways, if you want the fastest method of travel with Mavuika, here's what you want to do. Just spam her flying mode. It's as simple as that. Think of it as some form of glorified bee hopping. It's goofy as f, but it gets the job done, and that's all that matters. To perform this trick, all you really need to do is press the spacebar 3 times really fast. If you're on controller, I don't know what the button is, but it's basically the same thing. However, don't do it a 4th time or you'll pull out your glider. The only bad things about the bike are that it automatically clings onto walls when you don't want it to, which makes your camera go all nuts, and sometimes it's too fast, so you can easily overshoot and miss certain things. I'll talk about the combat side of the bike later, but for now, let's move on to Act 2. Act 2 starts off with us doing our daily commissions, which are honestly really satisfying to complete. We fought the Eye of the Storm by doing some sick donuts, and then got ignored by the church. Like, literally. That's kinda rude, don't you think? Speaking of ignored, this Fatui guard just refused to acknowledge us. Like, bro, did you not see this huge bike as we came in? That eye mask is not doing you any good, my guy. We ran over Zamenhof a few times and made our way back to the squad. So now it's time to collect the tears, and the Ruin Guard was the first. Its physical resistance is no problem to us, we can just do more donuts. But it looks like the reign of the bike is now over, because we've met our match with the Pyro Abyss Mage. This shield is not too bad because we have a claymore, but what's even better is this pool of water that I low-key forgot about at first. But with that out of the way, we finish Act 2 and continue our grind to AR18. So now it's Act 3 time, and our first enemy is the Hydro Abyss Mage. Since we're a Claymore user, I wanted to test if our off-field skill would break it faster than our bike. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. We would have thought a stick would do less damage than a whole ass vehicle. There was another Pyro Abyss Mage here, but no water source, so we had to Claymore it down. And now it's Lizard time. We start with a good damage high of 1026, but unfortunately we're not quite strong enough to one-shot Dvalin, so one rotation later and he's done. We make our way back to Mondstadt to clean up the aftermath. Oh, who was busy? Yeah, no, Cyrus was busy with Kaya's quest. So, oh wow, welcome back to Mondstadt. Look at all this mess. I wonder how it got here. And so we complete all of Mondstadt in only 2 hours and 49 minutes, which makes Mavuika the fastest character to date by 34 minutes. I really didn't see that one coming. But now we've got a bit to go before Liyue, so let's talk combat. Mavuika is a Pyro Claymore user, which is a pretty decent combination. As you've seen before, her held skill is her bike, which she can move around and attack with. Her charge attack is what you want to be using most of the time because it outputs the most damage, and also her normal attacks on the bike look kinda weird in my opinion. Pause from the recording just real quick. How have I not gotten these slimes on my main account? I have 100% in Mondstadt. I literally have 100% everywhere. I haven't gotten these slimes once. Give me a second. How have I not gotten this chest? All of her attacks on the bike do pyro damage. Her tap skill turns her into a 24-karat Labubu and makes her periodically do pyro damage to nearby enemies, so you can still hit them with your regular normal attacks. While we're still in the early game, the tap skill usually has greater damage output when it's combined with our normal attacks, so this is what we're going to be using for a while. We do scale later, so there's plenty of donuts on the way, but for now, we're better off otherwise. If we ever make the mistake of choosing the wrong skill, we can always hop on and off the bike. Her burst is similar to Skirk's. It does pyro AoE around her and does not use elemental energy. Instead, she uses a resource called Fighting Spirit. She can charge up her Fighting Spirit by consuming Night Soul points in her skill and also by using normal attacks. Like Skirk, you can use her burst at half charge, but it's better off if you have more. In Mavuika's case, you want to have maximum Fighting Spirit because every additional point past halfway gives her extra damage on her burst as well as extra damage in her after burst phase. And since we're now level 40, we've also unlocked her first Ascension passive, Gift of Flaming Flowers. This increases her attack by 30% for 10 seconds when a Night Soul burst is unleashed, and since we only have one Natlan character in the party, this is every 18 seconds, as long as we do elemental damage. Now, unless you live under a rock, you should know that Mavuika is currently the strongest DPS in the game, but is this the case for a solo run? You see, even though Mavuika had a faster time than Skirk is still doing 3 to 5 times as much damage as Mavuika. In terms of strength, at this point, Mavuika is feeling like the weakest 5-star character so far. Based on Dvalan Claire alone, Mavuika is only on par with Clorant. What is happening here? You see, Mavuika is a character who is severely limited by being a solo character. Let's use Skirk as a comparison. If you saw my last video, Skirk is also a character who is limited by being solo. She can't utilize her passive talents and she can't create rifts for more serpent subtlety stacks. But her damage output is still the same. She just doesn't deal as much as fast. If you think about her best teams, they tend to have Escoffier because of their archetype synergy, and because Escoffier is a team-wide healer, she enables Farina, which is a great third slot. Now in terms of the last slot, you can have a lot of options. I run Mualani because she's the best for me, but honestly, anything works. Here's the thing, Skirk not having these teammates doesn't inherently affect her all that much. The resistance shred from Escoffier, the damage bonus from Farina, and the crowd control from Frozen are great, but without them, Skirk doesn't really lose anything. Her passive talents increase her damage, not limited. Mavuika, on the other hand, does. Firstly, Mavuika is heavily reliant on having Natlan characters in her team. Characters like Sitlali, Yansan, and Shilonen help her gain Fighting Spirit much faster and also allows the party to trigger Night Soul Burst more often, which gives her that 30% attack increase more often. There's no way to fill up her bar faster, and it takes an extremely long time because unlike Skirk, you have to be in combat to charge it up. Not having these characters limits Mavuika heavily. Mavuika is also designed to be a melt DPS. Without a cryo character, she's losing out on a ton of damage. Her multipliers compared to Skirk are much lower because of this, so her damage output is going to be significantly less. Right now, she's pretty weak, but I think she'll get stronger a bit later. I don't ever see her reaching Skirk's damage as a solo unit, especially at this stage of the game, but I do definitely see her beating her time.
Rev the engines!
Okay, this is just busted. Like, what the f is this? There should be some traffic laws. Why is Mavuika allowed to ride her bike in the city? Endangering pedestrians. I don't know what else to call it. Destruction of property. Liyue begins with Mooncarver and we hit a new damage high of 1986. Like Skirk, Mavuika doesn't gain Fighting Spirit passively here, but her cooldowns are reduced, so we can stack it much faster. Cloud Retainer was next, and we don't even need to use the tree. We can just fly over with our bike. Alright, I read a comment in the Skirk only video that said I could break these before going up the mountain. So I'm gonna try that, and if I get f***ed up by that, it's all your fault.
Something to add to my collection.
Oh. Oh, what do you know? Last up was Xiao, and we just do more donuts with the Ruin Hunter. I've seen in so many other challenge videos the Ruin Hunter just immediately flying up into the air. I've never had that happen to me once, even with slower characters like Chongyun and Yansan. So I don't know, is there something wrong with me? But after all of that, we made it back to the Northland Bank and completed Act 1. Act 2 is pretty simple because it starts with the pot. Mavuika is Pyro, so she has no problems here. Madame Pink's teapot was next, and like every other run, it's just slimes. Since Mavuika is a Claymore user, the Geo and Cryo slimes get taken down real fast. Last on the list was Cocoa Goat farming, where we hit a new high of 3,889, and that is Act 2 done. So now it's time to ascend and farm a bit, so let's talk about her materials. Mavuika's ascension materials aren't actually all too bad. Her local specialty is withering purple blooms, which are found in Natlan. What the fuck, man? Is it? What the f?
The end.
Some of them are pretty annoying to get to, but for the most part, they're easy to find. There's a bunch on the small islands that you can easily reach thanks to the cuckoo saws, and on the main island, there's all sorts of mechanics you can easily use to get around. So it's not too bad. Almost all the flowers are initially accessible, and you only need to do 2 rounds of collection to get enough for level 80. And now for her boss. This thing. You know, before this challenge, I used to think that this boss was an absolute menace. Turns out, I was completely wrong. This boss is super easy. It has a meter that charges up when Night Soul is consumed, which means Mavuika can fill it up pretty easily. Once it reaches full, the boss does 2 sets of lasers that will never hit you if you're standing right next to it, and then creates 2 pillars that Mavuika can easily climb with her bike. If you destroy the rocks on top, the boss basically loses all of his resistances, so you can just burst it down. Now there's one weird thing with this boss. I don't know if it's my ping, but for some reason, when dodging this move here, I have to dash extremely early. Like you have to be at the end of your dash as the attack hits. It's very weird and I don't know why. I tried dodging just before and it didn't work. It's a very weird interaction. Now for her weapon, as you can see, we're using a debate club. It's not the best weapon or the shiniest, but it gets the job done. I farmed its weapon domain just way too much to grind adventure rank. Alright, D-Luke 2.0 time. D-Luke 2.0 can go through the walls? That's crazy. But after farming the domain forever, we finally hit AR28 and started Act 3. First up is the windmill, but we're not Animo, so we can't activate it. I did try to fly over it with Mavuika's bike, but even the gods have limits, so we brought out Linny's sister. The Millilith tasted the power of the sun, and then we went to the Fatui camp, but for some reason we couldn't interact with the box. We smothered this Pyro Slinger, but our dumb skill hit the Geomancer, so oh, no way you had to target that guy. But now it's time for Child, and we decide to be very respectful and leave tire tracks everywhere. After committing vehicular manslaughter, it was time to face Osayo. How nice of Ningguang to create a temporary arena for our bike to leave a mess on.
Driving in my car right after a beer. Hey, that bomb is shaped like a deer. DUI, how about you die?
But with that, we save the harbor and complete Liyue in 8 hours, 9 minutes and 19 seconds. A whole 1 hour and 14 minutes faster than Skirk. I don't ever think we'll be able to get a time as fast as this unless some Not Cry Mavuika version 2 comes out. Which will probably happen. Pain Slasher? Didn't see that one coming. 4-star again. Watch it be another Pain Slasher. I caught it. But let's move on to the Dainsleep quest. My favorite enemy, Pyro Abyss Mage. Would you be so kind to not show up again, please? By the way, I swear I didn't see a bubble here. What the hell? It just like randomly appeared out of nowhere. I'm telling you right now that I have never been happier to see Cryo Abyss Mages. These things are usually my 13th reason why, but right now I want to give them a big fat sloppy kiss. Unfortunately, this last one had a Pyro Mage, so my disc got to have a taste of my forehead. The Hydro Herald went down pretty easily, and then we did some more donuts on his ass, so that's it for Dainsleep.
What a strange guy.
It's time to set sail to the nation of Electro, where we become a bodyguard for the transport balloon. We hit a new high of 7,110 and make it to the main island with very minimal damage. This one electro arrow in the police station helped a lot with overload. Yeah, and with that, Act 1 is complete. Can I get a chair company to sponsor me? I really need a better chair. I've been sitting on this like $20 wooden IKEA chair with like a $10 IKEA pillow, and I've been sitting on that for like 3 months straight, and I swear it's ruining my back. It's so thin I had to put two pillows on top of each other. I bought two for 2 different chairs, but I had to combine them onto one chair because it still hurt my ass. I need a chair, man. How do I have no cabbage, by the way? Where's my cabbage? Do you have cabbage? Thank you. I need this cabbage.
Rev the engine.
Oof. My timing is crazy, by the way. I always get AR-35 at the exact same point in Ayaka's quest. So now it was time for Act 2, and this time we didn't strip down our artifacts because I was at half HP already, but I forgot that we automatically get hit to full anyway, so we stored our death for a few more seconds. Thank you, Renova, for your benevolence. Yeah, and I tried to get at least a couple archery targets, but Tebe said, fuck you. So Renova, please banish this guy to the death realm. We had to pull out Amber here, and after running over 3 more people, we're done with Act 2. So straight to Act 3. I've seen this bird die twice now. It's been 2 runs, and this one bird has done the exact same thing twice. All aboard. First stop, Impossibleville. We did hit the big guy for 12.8k though, so that's pretty neat. Now what is my delusional take about Mavuika? Don't hate me for saying this, but I feel like Mavuika was the character I felt the least connection to throughout the entire Natlan quest. She's just too perfect of a character. She didn't have any flaws that helped to build her character, unlike the rest of the Natlan cast, and for that reason, she's probably my least favorite Archon. Verena had to put up an extremely difficult facade for 500 years. Nahida was being used and abused. A was traumatized by a lot more than the loss of her loved ones, and secluded herself for eternity. Zhongli was conflicted about his role in the future of Liyue. Even Venti had his own struggles before we even met him. Her only struggle was waiting 500 years to be resurrected and then using borrowed power to defeat the Abyss. Now, I'm not a lore fanatic, don't get me wrong, but even though the severity is much more than the other Archon quests, it really doesn't feel like it. And I know some of you are going to be like, oh, but she bottled it up all inside her. She refused to share it with anyone. She decided to put her own feelings behind to save the whole nation. Yes, I know, but like, I feel like they still could have done a lot more with her character. It's such a shame that she had so much potential going in as an Archon with all these different factors, and unfortunately the story just didn't flesh out her personality, her character a lot. I just feel like they could have done a lot more with the Natlan Archon quest in terms of her character, and unfortunately I'm not a big fan of Act 5. It was a really good quest, don't get me wrong, but I feel like Act 5 was a bit of a doozy compared to the rest of it. It just felt rushed, and I feel like they could have done a lot more with Mavuika's character. But that's enough yap. If you want to hear more of that, then I'll make a dedicated video within the next month or so on the state of the game. Back to the game where we easily beat the anti-Shogun training by just riding our bike around, and then destroying the Kujo clan's tatami flooring. Guess who else had the same flooring? Signora. Her first phase goes down nice and easy, but after breaking her out of her cocoon, she gains 50% Pyro resistance. I wonder if she has resistance to car insurance. Signora doesn't, but A definitely does, because we didn't crit our burst a single time. We did hit a buffed high of almost 20,000 though, so that's pretty neat. But with that, Inazuma is now complete. But let's not forget about the last act of the chapter. We make our way over to the chasm and jump over these guards to skip the chasm cutscenes. Our first enemy is a Hydro Herald, but we give him a sunburn. Actually, I've never even talked about this, but it's much faster just to break the shield with her sus normal attacks because they just hit faster. Mavuika is one of the few Claymore characters that hits slower when using a charged attack. Actually, she might be the only one. I don't know. I don't really use Claymore characters. Her regular attack speed is just way faster. The same goes for the Electrolector. We can even use her burst at half strength just for more application. But if you thought that was the most painful part of the quest, you're wrong, because we were greeted with not 1, not 2, but 3 Pyro Abyss Mages. Actually make that 4. I fell down this hole here while beating the crap out of this no shield mage, and when I climbed back up, the entire fight reset. Arrgh. Whatever, that's the chasm done.
Go to sleep, go to sleep, go sleep, little pet. Go to sleep, gone to sleep. Go get time for you.
First up was the Withering Zone, and it's the first time I think you get to see Mavuika's regular charged attack. I think it looks pretty cool. You get to see the whole Natlan Aztec sun icon thing, but the move itself is really slow and it doesn't do a lot of damage, so it's really impractical. Next up was the Abyss Herald, followed by Inazuma, who we basically one-shot, and that already brings us to the act of N1. Oh, what the act of N1, the end of Act 1. Please, I need this. Please, speed, I need this. Please, speed, I need this. Yes! Yes! Whoa! Now we can only level up her weapon up to 20 because the weapon ascension domain was not available for another 2 days. Yes, it was a Tuesday when I pulled it, but we still equip it after a great run with our debate club. Alright, Harudara, 6th place. Come on, come on. Velocity up. Ooh. She just used like 3 skills in a row. Come on, come on. Yes! Harudara! Harudara! That's what I like to see.
Are you here for lunch? What would you
Dubai
like to
chocolate,
get?
please.
Try and stop me!
Wait, what the hell? When we're in the air, it cancels the screen effect. Oh, it's because Mavuika has her own screen effect. Oh, yeah, it's because she has her own screen effect. It cancels it out. Now, before we start Sumeru Act 4, we're going to take a little trip to Natlan to finally level up Mavuika's weapon. Her weapon domain is pretty easy. It's the same one as Skirk's, so it's just infinite roadkill. The other drop comes from these guys and they're not too bad, just a little bit tanky until their Night Soul bar is filled up. Hello? What the hell? I'm on the rope. But after about 15 minutes of farming to get her weapon to level 70, we finally start Act 4 and head our way over to the Elazar Hospital, where we hit a whopping new high of 26,486 thanks to our new weapon. This is even higher than our buff damage against A. Her signature weapon is really making a difference. But now it's time to light the monuments, and since we're not Dendro, we're gonna have to use the Dendrogram trick. Again, Mavuika's bike is just dumb. We had no difficulties getting to the monuments this time. But this last monument was toying with us. I don't know why, but the Dendrogram decides to randomly go sideways for this monument. Like for everything else, it goes up. But for this one, it goes sideways. What the hell? I had to stand right next to the wall to light this one up. And after our long bike ride across the desert, we one-shot some fungi and complete Act 4. Which means it is now time for the final act of Sumeru.
Boxing, boxing, boxing! Boxing, boxing, boxing! Boxing, 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 team! Boxing, boxing, boxing! Boxing, boxing, boxing! Boxing, 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 team! Boxing, boxing, boxing! Boxing, boxing, boxing! Boxing, 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 team!
Yeah, let me do f***ing wheelies in this shit-ass institution. Before we fight Scaramouche, we've got to go through the factory, but none of the fatigued enemies were all that difficult. We've kind of become a whole new monster with our signature weapon. We don't even need to follow the conveyors, we can just fly over to all of the platforms. I did try and attempt the skip here, but I didn't get enough height to reach the final platform. I mean, it's fine, the final chamber only took like a minute or so extra anyways. So now it's time to face the Balladeer, and our bike can hit him all the way from the platform here. As for the second phase, our tap skill automatically attacks the turrets, so we can shoot him down, and unfortunately we don't crit, but we still knock him out of his oversized Gundam and head over to the boat of consciousness. We ignore all of these enemies and just fly over to the main boat, because we can just do that, and we take down Big Guy, finishing all of Sumeru, but not all of Chapter 3. We light the bonfire and head over to the suspicious domain, where we manage to hit the final damage high of 38,776, thanks to this Hydro Slime allowing us to vape. We encounter our first Cryo Herald, and just brute force our way through this fight, not bothering to even dodge any of his attacks, because I knew Mavuika had it in her to beat the Abyss. And with that fight over, we make our way over to the Ascension domain, where we delete a bunch of Hilichurls and jump straight to AR-40. Alright. Cool. Thank you, I guess. I'm not gonna use you ever. And now, we're one step closer to Natlan as we start Fontaine Act 4. First up is the Raw Maritime Flowers, so we can use the Hydrogram trick to activate them. And here's another unique feature about Mavuika's bike. Most characters in midair fall based on their initial velocity. If you're standing still, you fall straight down. If you dash or jump off, you'll land somewhere in the direction of where you were. Mavuika's bike can freely change direction midair regardless of her initial movement. This makes it so much easier to collect the flowers as we can just land right on top of them. Act 2 makes us go to Marcel's hidden lair, and Mavuika's bike glitches through the platform here. The mechs are no big deal. They're not alive, so technically we're not committing any vehicle related crime this time. What the fuck is... Ghetto big booty. No way, you are not joining my rod. Get out of here. But now we can skip ahead to Act 5 where we ride our bike up the tower and enter the torture chamber. Again, I kinda just brute forced this, expecting to do a ton of damage, but I was a bit overconfident. We did almost get knocked out here. These mechs get staggered forever, so now it's time to face the whale. But it really didn't put up much of a fight. We break its eye and then ride on our bike in the second phase while using Nouvelette's power to defeat the all-devouring narwhal. And that's basically the end of Fontaine. Yes, I know it was pretty short, but like every other challenge run, there's not a lot that happens here. So straight onto bedtime story. First up with these Abyss Mages, the Cryo ones just got destroyed by our bike and the remaining Pyro Mage just got led into the pool of water here, so we really didn't have to do too much here. There's also another Cryo Abyss Herald here, so again, we just brute force our way through him and finish the shortest bedtime story known to mankind. And we wind the clock all the way back to Natlan Act 1 and arrive in our home nation. We finally gotten access to Phlogiston, which makes us even more broken. Doesn't make us any stronger, but it lets us use our bike for a much longer period of time, which means getting around to different quest markers will take even less time, and also we can do a ton more donuts on enemies. We can even click our skill again while using Phlogiston, so we can get an entire extra Night Soul bar worth of travel or combat. The tap skill duration doesn't change however, it still expires and doesn't consume Phlogiston. We just have to be careful with using our movement skills a lot of the time because we can accidentally fly too high and deal unnecessary damage to ourselves. This did apply to the earlier regions too, but especially in Natlan, where we will be moving around with the bike a lot more, it's even more dangerous. Act 1's only significant combat section involves the Abyssal Pylon, and we're great into it. We're a Natlan character, so we break it 3 times as fast, and our normal attacks on our bike make us apply Pyro really fast. We can even burn the grass under us, which does constant damage to the pylon, so this thing went down in like less than 5 seconds. Act 2 begins and we go f***ing ape against Capitano. Again, the Spirit Speaker Stone has the wrong number of orbs. Okay, this game is weird, man. Why are you shooting out 3? It changes every single time I play. We were 1 hit away from death to the Pyro Abyss Mage here, but we knocked it down first.
We're getting close.
4 fragments again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Tell me why there's 4. In these fights here, we used our Phlogiston bar in combat, but there's one of these refill machines here, so we can just top up and do infinite donuts. Again, I don't trust Malco one bit here, so we outrun the shadows with our trusty bike and take 0 damage. This last one crashed into the rock. We walk up this bridge at the slowest speed possible, like, come on Mavuika, hurry up, you're eating up my speedrun time. And that marks Act 2 done. Act 3 has us fight the Fatui, but there's no one here that's particularly troublesome. Maybe the Pyro Slinger, but we took him out first. Act 4 is the same. The Cryo Gunner that we usually have trouble with is not a problem this time around as we're Pyro. We can easily melt that shield away. So I guess it's time for war. I have to say for Mavuika, the whole of Act 4 was basically a joke. The abyssal shields that a lot of characters have troubles with is nothing to us. We easily destroy these shields. We didn't even have to use the Bakal strategy this time around. I knew that we were strong enough to handle the Minotaur Mimiflora by ourselves. It did transform back with literally 1 HP remaining, but the second shield onwards is always a lot smaller, so it went down not too much later. But after Mavuika went aura farming, like, ma'am, you do not have to do all that, we gained the ability to rain fireballs down on unsuspecting enemies, and with the power of friendship, we punch a hole in Gasoithoth and complete Act 4. Okay, I rarely cover Natlan Act 5, but this time, we get to use Mavuika on both sides of the Abyss, so here we go. Our first enemies are Abyssal Saurians. Do these still count as roadkill? I don't know if they're alive, right? I guess not. And then we go up against Heimwort. You know, if I was named Heimwort, I'd join the Abyss too. On the other side, there's just a bunch of Mimiflora, so we shred through these like nothing, and now it's time for Gasoithoth, where we just zoom in the air and punch its eye again. Do we really need the mic? Like, I know she's using borrowed power, but come on, this is so much cooler. Unfortunately, the first half of the fight, we can only use Pyro Traveler, so let's just skip this bit. And this bit. And this bit. Stop with the walking, please! But now it's time to go crazy against the Abyssal Dragon. However, it does quite a bit of damage. We purify the first totem pole, but we get hit, and it puts us at a dangerous 189 HP. One more hit, and it's over. But thanks to our skill, we narrowly escape death not once, but twice, and finish off Gasoithoth with a buffed damage high of 167,000. We give it that double Detroit smash, and fast forward to the future where we stand side by side with ourselves in honor of the 2053 warriors who died in battle. we leave our 24-karat Labubu behind as a memorial token and head off on new adventures with a final time of 32 hours, 54 minutes and 25 seconds. We are 2 hours and 20 minutes faster than our previous fastest time with Skirk, and unless Hoyo releases a more broken character, I don't think anyone will ever come close to this time. But with that being said, let's move on over to the ratings to see how great she really is. For combat, it's an easy 5. She's not as strong as solo Skirk, but especially towards the end of the run, her damage started spiking a lot. Even without her signature weapon, with a 3-star, we're still doing a ton of damage. Maybe not in the first few Archon quests, but once we got to Inazuma, we were smashing it. Her burst is her main source of damage, and even though it's optimal to have it fully charged up, sometimes it's alright to do it early because it's enough to win the fight anyways. Her bike is great in combat as it has great application and much more damage than her without her bike. As the current number 1 DPS in the game, it's hard to imagine her not being this strong. For farming, it's another easy 5. Her local specialty is in Natlan, which isn't the easiest place to get to, but the withering purple blooms are literally everywhere. The outer islands are accessible by Cuckoo Saw, and there's plenty on the main island too. Her boss is also very easy. You can trigger the boss's mechanics as she consumes Night Soul on her skill, and she's able to climb the pillars thanks to her bike. The boss itself has a pretty basic moveset that is easy to dodge, and it doesn't even use any of its more annoying far range attacks as we're already up close and personal with it. For some reason, you have to dodge its moves early because it hits you earlier than what the animation actually is, but it's not too bad once you get used to it. Her weapon materials are also pretty chill. Her weapon domain is on the easiest side with just Yumka Swords and Saurian Fighters, and her other material is from these clankers with the long name I refuse to say in full. For exploration, it's the easiest 5-star. I'm pretty sure Mavuika is literally the best exploration character in the game. Her bike is one of the fastest modes of transport. I'm not sure if Veressa is faster than her, but if she's not the fastest, it's still the most versatile. You can move fast, ride on water, climb vertical surfaces, fly, even change direction mid-air. If anything, I think it's too strong. As a Claymore user, she's able to break rocks and other obstacles that require blunt attacks, and her bike can do the same. As a Pyro character, it's very useful in the overworld for puzzles and Archon quest objectives. It's honestly unfair. And for enjoyment. Now, many of you may be surprised by this, but I'm giving her a 3. I was actually debating whether or not to give her a 2, but I feel like a 3 is fair. I've recently done a bunch of challenges involving broken 5-star characters, and Mavuika is no exception. She just felt more bland than the others. Sure, the bike is cool, but with 90% of combat literally just holding down your charged attack, it's a bit boring. At least with other characters you need to dodge, time your attacks, know when to use your skill or not, etc. Mavuika is just press E and hope for the best. Like I said before, I'm not the biggest fan of her. She's my least favorite Archon, and I don't feel the slightest bit of emotional attachment to her. I can appreciate her role in the story, but in all honesty, every other Natlan character just feels more relatable. Something about her just doesn't hit me right. I'm being as unbiased as possible and not tying the rating to my personal opinion of her, but I just thought that even after doing this challenge, I didn't feel any more appreciation for her unlike some of the other characters like Chongyun and Clorinde. Maybe I just have to start playing some not so meta characters. And there we have it. Mavuika gets a final score of 18 out of 20. She takes the top spot out of all the characters so far, and she deserves it. She's literally half a day faster than Ian-san. But that's it for this video. If you've made it all the way to the end, thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more solo runs or more Genshin content in general, make sure you like the video and hit that subscribe button. In terms of solo runs, I have a few lined up already, and I also want to do some Nodcry characters, but I also have a couple of other challenge videos and Genshin content that I have planned, so keep your eyes out for that. I know it's been delayed by quite a bit, but Japanese Inazuma is up next, I promise. Look forward to that in the next few weeks, and I'll see you next time.